All right, let's solve a mystery. And this isn't just any mystery, it's your mystery. It's about what happened to the first few years of your life.
I mean, seriously, think about it. You lived this whole entire life, a really rich and complex one, before you even turned 3. And now, it's just gone. A total blank.
And during that time, you had some of the most fundamental human experiences, right? The very first time you saw the world, the first time you heard your mom's voice, your first taste of actual food, those first shaky steps, even your very first word. All of that happened.
And you remember absolutely none of it, not one single thing. It's like the first chapter of your life story was just ripped out. So that's the big question, isn't it? The central mystery we're going to crack today. Where did all those memories go? You know, the easy answer, the one we all kind of assume, is that your brain was just too young, right? Not developed enough. But that's not the whole story. Not even close. The real answer is actually way weirder.
See, here's the thing. Your baby brain wasn't just failing to record stuff. Oh no, it was recording. The memories were there. But then something came along and destroyed them, actively wiped them out. There's even a name for this, coined by Freud way back in 1905, infantile amnesia.
Okay, so like in any good detective story, the first step is to establish the facts. Did a memory even exist in the first place? We need to find the evidence.
And we've got some great evidence, thanks to a really clever experiment from the 80s. A psychologist named Carolyn Rovi Collier did this. She tied a ribbon from a baby's ankle to a mobile hanging over the crib. The babies pretty quickly figured out, hey, when I kick, that cool thing moves, and they loved it. But here's the kicker. When she brought them back days later, they remembered. They saw the mobile and started kicking right away. So what does this tell us? It's proof. Infant brains can totally form, store, and even recall memories. I mean, a 6-month-old can remember something for weeks. And yet, those memories just don't stick around long term. They completely disappear by the time we're adults. So the mystery just got deeper, didn't it?
All right, let's look at our first suspect. It's a structural issue. Meet the hippocampus. You can think of it as the brain's little memory-making machine. It takes all your experiences and codes them so you can access them later. The problem is, in a baby, the wiring between the hippocampus and the brain's long-term storage unit, the cortex, is basically under construction. So it can make memories, sure, but it's terrible at filing them away for keeps. But that's only part of it. And honestly, what we're about to get into is a total plot twist in this whole story. This is where it gets really interesting. So back in 2014, 2 neuroscientists came up with this pretty wild idea. They asked, what if the very process that's building your brain is also the process that's destroying your earliest memories?
This process has a name, neurogenesis. Basically, for the first few years of your life, your hippocampus is just a massive construction site. It's cranking out new brain cells, neurons, at an absolutely insane speed. And this is super important, right? It's building the brain you're going to use for your entire life.
But there's a huge catch, a major trade-off. As your brain is busy building itself up, all those new neurons being added to the system, well, they disrupt and overwrite the circuits that were already there. And guess what those circuits were holding? Yep, your very first memories. And they proved this in experiments with mice. The more neurogenesis they caused, the more the mice forgot. So it wasn't that your baby brain was too weak, it was too busy. Think of it like a renovation crew that keeps building fantastic new rooms in a house, but to do it, they have to tear down all the old walls.
Okay, but the rabbit hole goes even deeper. This isn't just about biology anymore. Now we're getting into the question of, well, what does it even mean to be you? Think about it. To have a memory that's part of your life story, what scientists call an autobiographical memory, you need a main character. You need a you to be the star of the show. You need a sense of self. And this sense of you doesn't just appear overnight. There's a pretty clear timeline. Before about 18 months, if you put a dot of paint on a baby's nose and put them in front of a mirror, they'll just wave at the other baby. But after 18 months or so, something clicks. They'll touch their own nose. They get it. That's me. And isn't it fascinating that this moment, this dawn of self-awareness, lines up almost perfectly with when we start being able to form those first lasting memories? Maybe you can't remember being a baby because in a very real sense, the you who does the remembering hadn't been born yet. Which brings us to the final piece of this puzzle. Language. Before you had words, your experiences were just,
a big soup of feelings, sounds, and images. Language is what gives those experiences a structure. It's like a filing system or a skeleton that everything else can hang on to.
And this isn't just some abstract idea. The data on this is amazing. It turns out the age of your first memory literally changes depending on your culture. So among the Maori people in New Zealand, who have this really rich tradition of storytelling about personal history, the average first memory is around age 2.5. In the West, it's more like 3.5. And in some East Asian cultures, it can be 4 or even 5. The stories you're told about your own past literally help you build that past in your mind.
All right, we've gathered all the clues. It's time to close the case. Let's deliver the final verdict on your missing memories.
So it turns out it wasn't just one culprit. It was a perfect storm of 4 things happening at once. 1, your hippocampus was still under construction. 2, that massive brain growth, neurogenesis, was bulldozing the old memories. 3, there was no real you yet to star in the memories. And 4, you didn't have the language to lock them into place.
So here's the biggest takeaway from all of this. Your brain didn't fail you. That forgetting, it wasn't a bug. It was a feature. It was the necessary price of doing something way more important than just remembering. It was busy becoming, well, you, building the mind you're using to listen to me right now. And that leaves us with one last, kinda haunting question to chew on. If you have zero memory of being that person, and the brain that experienced that life was physically torn down and rebuilt, is the baby in your old photos really you? Or are they someone else? A sort of first draft of you who was taken apart piece by piece and reassembled into the person you are today? Kind of makes you think, doesn't it?